Also, I've always been strongly in favor of it. I think it's a great thing. It's also, it's good for our schools. It's good for, I think it's good for our country. I'm also in favor of having them stay. I've been in favor of letting them stay. If you get educated for 4 years, you're willing to get educated for 4 years. I like people being able to stay. You know, they have some great students. Yeah, these are Republicans clapping. You know, because a lot of Republicans don't like that idea. I happen to like it. I'm a real Republican, believe it or not. But I like the idea. They go 4 years. To me, that's almost like, you know, just buying your way in a very legitimate way. And, you know, you have stories where Apple wants to hire somebody and they can't hire him because he can't stay. He went to a great school. He finished first in his class. They made him a big offer. And everything's done, but he has no idea whether or not he's going to be able to stay. And I'm all for making sure that people like that can go to work for all of our great companies. And you know what they do? They go back to their country, and there are stories that are all over the place. They go back to their company, and they start a company just like they were going to start here. They end up starting it in China or India or someplace else, and now they're among the richest people in the world. They've got thousands and thousands of employees that make it great. This is happening all the time because they're not allowed to stay. And I think we'll probably end up doing something about that, right? I think. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. You in the blue, please. Light blue.
Thank you, Mr. President. How close are you to setback between Ukraine and Russia? We see a very bad escalation. Are you leaving in the hands of the Europeans?
I'm very close to the situation. I'm very disappointed in Russia, but I'm disappointed in Ukraine also because I think deals could have been made. And, you know, we're losing 5,000, 6,000 people a week, soldiers mostly, but also people living in towns because they're getting hit by missiles again. How'd you like to live in a building and you think a missile has a good chance of hitting your building during the evening? It's horrible. Must be horrible to live like that. But, I mean, we'll get it, but it's, I'm disappointed that it's not done. We did great with India and Pakistan. We did very good with Israel. I thought, look, October 7th was a disaster. People forget, you know, they like to forget. That was a horrible thing. But, you know, none of these things would have happened if I were president. If I were president, none of it would have happened. You wouldn't have the Israel problem. Iran was broke. They had no money. We had big sanctions on them. Biden immediately let them get rich, the $300 billion they have right now. But they had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah. They had no money for anything. It was perfect. We wouldn't have had inflation that was caused by oil, Chris. The oil price went through the roof. It was also caused by their spending, but it was caused more by oil than anything else. The oil went so high, got close to $100 a barrel, and that cost. And that also kept the war going with Putin because at $100 a barrel, that was a big money-making experience. But now it's down to where it's not so good for them anymore. No, it's very important to get that solved. That's a bloodbath. That's a terrible bloodbath that's going on. Let's go ahead. Go ahead.
Following up your question, answer on India and Pakistan for stopping the war between them. India says that they cannot talk to Pakistan unless Pakistan takes actions against terrorists.
We're going to get those two getting together, you know. I told them, India and Pakistan, they've had a long time rivalry over Kashmir. And I said, I can solve anything. I'll be your arbitrator. I will be your arbitrator. I can solve anything. And I started the first question, how long has it been going on? They said, 2,000 years. I said, oh, that's a problem. Maybe I'll take it.
Mr. Biden, Mr. President.
When I heard 2,000 years, I said, maybe I'll have John Hess solve that problem.
Mr. President, will you punish Israel for striking Iran?
Peter?
Thank you, President Trump. I have two. First, on immigration. What made you change your mind about targeting in California farmers and people in the hotel and leisure business?
Well, we're not targeting. In fact, if you look today, I put out a statement today about farmers. Our farmers are being hurt badly by, you know, they have very good workers. They've worked for them for 20 years. They're not citizens, but they've turned out to be, you know, great. And we're going to have to do something about that. We can't take farmers and take all their people and send them back because they don't have, maybe supposed to have, maybe not. And you know what's going to happen and what is happening? They get rid of some of the people because, you know, you go into a farm and you look and people don't, they've been there for 20, 25 years and they've worked great and the owner of the farm loves them and everything else, and then you're supposed to throw them out, and you know what happens? They end up hiring the people, the criminals that have come in, the murderers from prisons and everything else. So we're going to have an order on that pretty soon, I think. We can't do that to our farmers, and leisure too, hotels. We're going to have to use a lot of common sense on that.
Apparently a two-vehicle accident. The female driver of the other vehicle is shaken up. Police continues together. Everything in that black Toyota Tundra. Other vehicles will be 28 total Honda.
Out of doing that, or are you so against Iran having a nuclear weapon that you're okay, he does his thing because it is not an American war?
Yeah, it's a very fair question. Look, I want to have an agreement with Iran. We're fairly close to an agreement. We are fairly close to a pretty good agreement. It's got to be better than pretty good, though, but it's got to be, I'd much prefer an agreement. As long as I think there is an agreement, I don't want them going in because I think that would blow it. Might help it, actually, but it also could blow it. But we've had very good discussions with Iran. Whether or not we get there, I can't tell you, but it'll happen soon. I say this, Peter, very strongly. They can't have, whether it's going in or not going in, they can't have a nuclear weapon. I'd prefer the more friendly path.
And can you tell us what the Israelis told you that made you start to evacuate the dependents of servicemen and women who are stationed in the Middle East?
They didn't tell me anything, but I said, look, there's a chance of massive conflict. We have a lot of American people in this area, and I said, we got to tell them to get out because something could happen soon. And I don't want to be the one that didn't give any warning and missiles are flying into their buildings. It's possible. So I had to do it. You know, I had the choice. Do I do it or not? Doing it has its downside, but it also has its upside, like you're going to save a lot of lives if it should happen. Hopefully that doesn't happen. All right? Thank you. It's going to be a great day.
What would you like folks to take away from that day? What would you hope that they would remember? And also, Mr.
How great our country is, and how strong our military is. We have the strongest military in the world. You know, it's very interesting. 3 weeks ago, it was the end of world anniversary, end of World War II, and I called France and Macron, who's a good man. I said, "What are you doing?" He goes, "We're celebrating World War II, our victory." I said, "Your victory? Your victory? Tell me about that." And then I called somebody else, and I happened to speak to President Putin at the time. Now, in all fairness to him, he lost 51 million people, and he did fight. Russia fought. Sort of interesting, isn't it? He fought with us in World War II, and everybody hates him. And Germany and Japan, they're fine. You know, someday somebody will explain that, but I like Germany and Japan too. But Putin is a little confused by that, you know. He said, we lost 51 million people and we were your ally, and now everybody hates Russia and they love Germany and Japan. I said, let's explain that sometime, okay? But it's a strange world. But I will say this, look, I want them to go away saying how great our country is and how great our military is. And I was making all these calls. For some reason, I spoke to like 4 different places. Sir, are you celebrating? And I said, you know, we won World War II and World War I, right? We won them. And yet we're the only country that doesn't celebrate. Everybody's celebrating except us. And I said, we should celebrate too.
Several No Kings protests planned across the country on Saturday as well. What are your thoughts on those?
What do they call it? No king?
No Kings.
I don't feel like a king. I have to go through hell to get stuff approved. A king would say, I'm not going to get this. A king would have never had the California mandate to even be talking to him. He wouldn't have to call up Mike Johnson and Thune and say, fellas, you got to pull this off, and after years we get it done. No, we're not a king. We're not a king at all. Thank you very much. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Sir,
go ahead.
Mr. President, sir, you made a lengthy posting today on Truth Social about Senator Rand Paul. Do you expect to see him at the picnic tonight, sir?
I do. I look forward to seeing him, actually. I like him. He's the hardest vote in the history of the U.S. Senate to get. Probably won't get him. But he's a very tough vote. I mean, he's a very tough vote. He's always been a friend of mine. You know, I endorsed him and got him elected. I got him elected twice. But I don't think he understands how great this bill is. This is a great bill. No tax on tips, no tax on, you know, the Social Security payments. It's unbelievable what happens. No tax on overtime. You work overtime, no more tax. It's so, those are big, but they're minor compared to the big things. Taxes reduced. And let's look at the other side. If it doesn't get approved, a 68% tax increase, 68%, including the fact that the Trump tax cuts kick in. But it's a 68% tax increase and many other bad things. I don't even want to, some of them are so bad I don't even want to talk about them. I think it's one of the greatest bills we'll ever pass in this country, and I think that Leader Thune, this gentleman right here, what he's gone through on this with, you know, we started off with a majority of 1, now I guess we have 7, so it's like easier, but it's really sort of 3. It's 7, but it really equates to 3, right? And we have great support. I mean, I can't tell you, I can't guarantee, but when you have a majority of essentially 3, where you can't lose anything more than 3 votes, and you get it passed, it's pretty amazing. And I think it's going to haunt the Democrats because most of the bill is common sense. It's tax cuts, it's border wall funding, it's military funding properly spent. It's all things that are like common sense. They're all good. There's nothing tricky about it. It's basic stuff. And we don't intend on getting one, think of it, not one Democrat vote in the House. Mike, not one. Maybe somebody will come along. I don't know how they can run for office. So many different things. We're gonna, very important, Medicare and Medicaid are going to be strengthened, not hurt. You know, they're using fake narrative. Oh, they're going to be strengthened. We're going to strengthen them. They're going to destroy them because under their policies, Medicare and Medicaid go away. Senate, the House, the whole thing. It's incredible. I was going to sign a executive order and give it a shot. But the one good thing with this, number one, it holds up forever. And number two, unless somebody votes it out, they'll never do that. And, it's just so much better, huh? So much better. That's so great. Very proud of you. We're joined today by the great Speaker of the House. I think he's going to go down as a great Speaker of the House, too. I may be wrong. I may be wrong. Who knows? Who the hell knows? I think he is. And he's doing something, the only thing I would say is more important than this one, and I'll tell you what, it's almost close. That's how big this is today. But the great, big, beautiful, I added the word great, you know, I used the word, the great, big, beautiful bill. It's going to be one of the most, I said it this morning to a group, I think it's the most important, one of the most important pieces of legislation ever signed, ever approved. So it's going to be something very special. Thank you very much. Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, thank you. Secretary Sean Duffy. And they had a problem in India today, and you're on that. Sean's doing a tremendous job. Secretary Chris Wright, everybody said you'd never be able to get him. He's the most talented man, they say, in the oil and gas industry. I'll let you know in about 2 years if that's true. Well, Doug Burgum, you know, I wanted Doug Burgum to head up energy because he was so successful in North Dakota. He's governor. And he said, sir, there's one person who's much better than me. I said, who? They said, Chris Wright. I said, who the hell is Chris Wright? I had no one knows Chris Wright. He's going to be more famous than me. But he said, there's a guy named Chris Wright, and if we could get him, he'd be better than I am, sir. And if you know Doug, Doug's not here, is he? If you knew Doug, he's always working someplace. But if you knew Doug, you'd know that he doesn't say that often. And he did. And Chris, you're doing great. But I don't like the oil prices have gone up just a little bit over the last few days. I was going to call and just really start screaming at you. Are we okay? Right? It's going to keep going down a little bit, right? Because we have inflation under control perfectly. You probably saw the records. Everyone's on television saying, what's going on here? Trump has proven to be right. You know, all of these things. We've taken in $88 billion in tariffs. in 2 months. 88 billion with no inflation. And if we're smart, there won't be. Now, I'd like to get this guy to lower interest rates because, you know, if he doesn't, we have to pay. We have a lot of short-term debt. Obama gave it to us originally, and Biden carried it on. They like short-term. I like long-term cheap debt. But a lot of the debt comes through because Biden, well, he didn't do it. I'm sure he didn't know anything about it. But somebody approved short-term debt. It's all over the place. And it comes due starting very soon. And if we would lower the interest rates by 1 point, we'd pay about 1 point less. That's $300 billion a year. Can you believe it? 1 point. If you'd lower it by 2 points, we'd pay $600 billion a year less. That's for years, 10 years, 12 years, whatever we make it. But we can't get this guy to do it. And the fake news is saying, oh, if you fired him, it would be so bad. It would be so bad. I don't know why it would be so bad, but I'm not going to fire him. I just want him to, you know, we call him Too Late, right? Too Late is his nick, like Too Tall Jones. He was too tall, T-O-O. And I just say this because we want to get rid of inflation, and we have. But we're going to be paying more for debt. And all he has to do is lower it. Europe's done 10 lowerings. We've done none. And nobody understands it. Actually, today when the numbers came out, they were so good. You saw yesterday's numbers, incredible. No inflation. Today's numbers. Today just came out, same thing, no inflation. They're all shocked. All these guys are watching from business, CNBC, and all of these different networks. Maria Bartiromo actually got it right. She's been getting it right for a long time, that one. I hope she's appreciated. And Joe Kiernan's been very good at CNBC, I must tell you, but other people aren't so good. But I will say that they can't believe what's happening. But if I could, because we can discuss, we get a lot of press, we get a lot of cameras rolling right now. Not that I like doing it, because I don't. But if we cut our interest by 1 point, for years, we save $300 billion. If we cut it by 2 points, we save, because it's pretty equivalent. We're going to spend $600 billion a year, 600, because of one numbskull that sits here. I don't see enough reason to cut the rates now. And the problem he's got is that, and I explained to him, look, if inflation went up, cut your rates now. There's no inflation. We got it down. We got prices down. We got gasoline down. And you'll keep it going down. But gasoline's down. It's drill, baby, drill. That's why it's going down. But we're all that. But think of it. I said to him, he was in my office a couple of days ago. I said, if you think there's inflation, let's find out. Because I think we're going to keep it down. I think gasoline's going to be so far down. Oil, energy, we have so much energy, we don't know what to do with it. But let's say there was inflation in a year from now. Raise your rates. I don't mind. Raise your rates. I'm all for it. I'll be calling you. He'll be too late for that too. But raise your rates. You don't have to keep them up here. If it's going to go up, I'm okay with you raising, but it's down. And we're going out to financing. And I may have to force something. Somebody said, who's the genius that thought of that? I said, it's me. Unlike Biden, I stay awake at night thinking about how to save our country. He was much better at sleeping than me. He could sleep on a beach. He could sleep on a beach with cameras rolling. I can't do that. But I had an idea. I gave it. They said, we'll go short term for a year. Let this guy get out of office. Somebody will come in, cut it a couple of points, and we'll save ourselves $7, $8, maybe even $900 billion a year. What is he doing? Why doesn't he lower these rates? And with that, we'll get on to the California standard, which is a disaster, okay? So, Chris Wright, you're going to get the numbers down. Thank you very much. Lee Zeldin, one of the most important men in this room. He's the man. I get nervous when I talk to him. He's doing a great job. Nuclear, I say, okay, you can take 2 weeks for that approval. It used to take 20 years, then they wouldn't approve it. Now I say, Lee, nuclear, I'll give you 2 weeks for an approval. A plant, you only get a couple of days. And oil and gas will give you a week, okay? Something like that. But he's doing it so fast, and we have so many plants being built right now. It's so beautiful to see. And one of the reasons they're coming here is because they have to produce tremendous, especially the AI, they have to produce beyond believable amounts of electricity. And they're doing, I said to them, I think this was more or less my idea. They didn't have the idea only because they didn't think a thing like this was possible. I said, as you build your plant, you're going to become a utility. And you're going to build a separate plant right alongside of it. You're going to build it. You're going to build a plant that produces electricity. And you'll produce it through natural gas, coal, nuclear. We don't want to produce it through wind because we don't feel like ruining 50 miles of beautiful plains and beautiful vistas. And but we want to produce it. You know, interestingly, China's opening up a coal plant every single week. But now I'm finding out it might be 2 plants every single week. And, you know, usually that's a good gauge. If they're using coal, I guess we're supposed to use coal. And, you know, we went to a coal standard. And not that you have to use coal. You're going to use whatever's best. I want to introduce also Senate Majority Whip John Barrasso, who's a tremendous guy, doctor. Okay? And he is a tremendous guy, tremendously talented doctor. When I have a medical situation for the country, for myself, I haven't used him, but I might have to. Maybe I'll do that. If it's serious enough, I think I'd probably do that. But he's a tremendously talented gentleman who happens to be a senator and one that's very respected. Chairwoman Shelley Moore Capito, and congratulations. I just endorsed your son. Did you know that? I endorsed your son. I endorsed your son, who's running in West Virginia, and he's great. In fact, he's all Trump all the time. I think much more so than you, actually. If you want. You were his largest impediment. No, I'm only kidding. He's all Trump all the time, and he's going to win big, and so congratulate him. Okay, he's really been fantastic. So many people have told me. Thank you. And House Majority Leader Steve Scalise, who's a brave man. He went through hell. Steve went through hell. And we have a lot of other people here that I won't be able to because they don't have your name down, and I'm looking, and I see people whose names, I'll do a couple of you, but thanks as well to Mark Wayne Mullen, Senator. Mark Wayne, thank you. Stand up, Mark Wayne. Don't fight him. He's a serious fighter in a lot of ways, and he's a great guy, too. Thank you, Mark Wayne. Deb Fisher. Deb? Thank you, Deb. Good. Pete Ricketts, who's going to do very well in the upcoming election. Thank you. Thank you, Pete. John Husted, who's really moving along in Ohio. John, good luck. You're going to do well. All endorsed people. John Curtis, who's doing terrifically. John, thank you. Good job. They all say excellent. What can I tell you? Good job. And Bernie Moreno, who won a race that was not winnable. They all said it's not winnable. He won in Ohio. They said you can't win that race. It's a waste of time. You're just wasting your time, right, Bernie? It wasn't a waste of time, was it? Huh? And he won by like 5 points, too. Won by a lot. Along with Representatives Kevin Kiley, Vince Fong, Jay Obernolte, Doug Lamaffa, Darrell Issa. Where's Darrell? I haven't seen you in such a long time. Look at you. How good you look, huh? Good when you have those. It's easier. John Joyce, great guy. John, thank you. Thank you, John. Dusty Johnson, Morgan Griffith, Troy Balderson. Troy from a place called Ohio, and he played very cute at one time, but then he got, boy, I'll tell you, he's become a good politician. Where is Troy now? Where I haven't seen him used for years. I endorsed you early when he was early and younger, but you still look young, and you've done fantastically good work. Really good work. Claudia Tenney, New York. Claudia. Thank you, Claudia. John James. John James. I don't know. You know, he's running for governor, but I'm not sure I'm happy about that, John. Do we have somebody good to take your seat? Because otherwise, we're not letting him run for governor. We can't. You have somebody good, right? Okay. As long as you like them, they'll win. Tracy Mann. Tracy, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Michael Baumgartner. Michael. Thank you, Michael. Good. Good job. David Rouser. Rouser. Thank you. Glenn Grothman. Hi, Glenn. Thank you very much, Glenn. Brett Guthrie. Brett. Thank you, Brett. Rudy Yackham. Thank you. Thank you, Rudy. And I want to thank you all. And there's some additional people in the room, but we have to get back to this. Is like so big. This is a big one. Under the previous administration, the previous administration, I could go point after point, everything they did, open borders, men playing in women's sports, transgender for everybody, let's go transgender. What over there? They must have hated our country. Under the previous administration, the federal government gave left-wing radicals in California dictatorial powers to control the future of the entire car industry all over the country, all over the world, actually. Because they have to build a car. They can't build 19 different cars called the same thing. And really, it was all over the world what was happening. They approved Governor Gavin's ridiculous plan to impose a 100% ban on all new gas-powered cars within a very short period of time. Think of this. You couldn't buy any other car except an electric-powered car. And in California, they have blackouts and brownouts. They don't have enough electricity right now to do the job. And countrywide, you'd have to spend $4 trillion to build the firing plants, to be able to, they call it they call them a lot of things, charging plants, firing plants. $4 trillion you'd have to spend. In the Midwest, they built 9 of them. 9 individual, it's like a pump, just like a pump, except instead of gas, electricity comes out. They built 8 of them. $9 billion they spent for 8 little hoses, $9 billion. Now, I'm sure they could have done it for about, 1/1000th of that, but even if they did, it's unaffordable. They approved Governor Gavin's ridiculous, it's so ridiculous. By the way, if I didn't bring the military in, Los Angeles would be burning down right now. It'd be burning just like his damn houses burned down because he didn't have the water that he should have had. He had so much water. They have so much water. We had to send in the military to free up the water. And we did that right after the fires. We told them to do it in the first term. But just like that ridiculous plan, this is a plan to ban, think of it, a plan to ban 100, and they call it the 100% ban on all new gas-powered cars and abolish 75% of the gas-powered trucks. 75%. The trucking industry saw me. They said, sir, it doesn't work. Number one, the trucks are so heavy. They're 2.5 times heavier than a diesel-powered truck. So one of the big truckers owns 28,000 trucks, big company, tremendous company. He said, I go out of business immediately. I'm not going to play games. I mean, he said, did you explain these things to government officials? Like the truck weighs 2.5 times more, 2.5 times more than a regular truck, a gasoline-powered diesel. And he said, based on that, we have to rebuild the United States of America because it wasn't designed to hold cars and trucks that heavy because the batteries are very heavy. They're, probably lead. They have a lot of things in those batteries that weigh a lot. But it's 2.5 times. It's a simple number, 2.5 times. And if you want to do this, you have to spend trillions and trillions of dollars on rebuilding every bridge in the United States, and I guess throughout the world, because they do follow us. And the big rig buses and even cement trucks, they want to abolish certain categories of truck, but they want to go 75% of all of these trucks have to be abolished almost immediately. I mean, the time is just crazy.
Charlie 270.
And they don't go far. Another little problem. With a tank of diesel, you can go from New York to Los Angeles if you want to go to Los Angeles right now. But New York to Los Angeles, and you can go back a little bit. With the electric truck, you'll stop approximately 6 times. Enjoy your stop. And the truckers saw me, and I said, did you just explain this? Because this is like, you know, if you explain it, if a person's reasonable for that, he said, we explained it, they didn't care. They said, we're going all electric. They can't be stupid, because anybody that can cheat on elections like them is not a stupid person. But they must hate our country. But I said to this big trucker, he said, sir, I've been buying trucks my whole damn life. He's a rough guy, smart guy. He said, I got thousands of them. I've been buying them for 50 years, and every single year they got better. They got more efficient, they got bigger, they got stronger. I build apartments in my trucks now for the drivers. So what's an apartment? That's on the cab, they put this in. And sir, I know you like luxury, but you wouldn't mind living in one of these. I said, maybe I would, maybe I wouldn't. I mean, it doesn't sound too appealing, but I said, so what's the problem? He said, so I noticed one thing. For 50 years, every single year, one thing happened. They got better. They got stronger, they got more efficient, they got faster. They could carry any load. If we went to this standard, we'd go back beyond 50 years. They wouldn't go as far as a truck from 50 years ago. It would be too heavy and have all the other problems. He said, we'd be going backwards. We'd be taking a trucking industry, would be starting all over. But actually, it would be worse because it was better 50 years ago than... So I said, what are you going to do if I don't win this election? This was before the election. He said, you don't win the election, I'm going to close up my business because I'm not going to lose my... He said, I'm not going to lose my ass. I know exactly what's going to happen. It's going to be a catastrophe. It's the craziest thing I've ever heard. They're making you buy stuff that doesn't work. It's no good. It doesn't work. And I'm all for electric. If you want to buy electric, you can buy electric. Cars are great. If you buy the right ones, cars are great. And you should be given the option, buy the electric car, buy a gasoline-powered car, buy a hybrid. Probably not hydrogen, because hydrogen has a tendency that when it blows up, you're gonzo. It's over. They find you 75 yards down the road, you know. Where is he? Well, I think that's him, but I'm not sure. So, you know, they said, we think we can solve the problem. I said, that's not good enough when they think. No, it sounds like it's quite severe. If it does, Steve, it'll work most of the time, but if it doesn't, it's over. It'll make your accident look like peanuts compared. You wouldn't be around, I'll tell you, because it's pretty bad. But some people like it. I don't know. Let's see what happens. But I would say it's off to a bad start. But because of the size of California's population and the fact that 17 other states follow California, that's the problem. 17 other states follow California. They have the most ridiculous laws I've ever seen for a lot of things. This is just cars, and trucks and they have a lot of them for other things. But we have, it's called the California Car Standards. And this horrible scheme would effectively abolish the internal combustion engine, which most people prefer. Like so far, I'd say about 90%. In fact, General Motors announced yesterday they're going to spend about $6 billion because of tariffs, and maybe my election on November 5th. But because of tariffs, I think, more than anything, they're all coming back. They're coming back from other countries that took them 25, 30 years ago. They're all coming back. We have now almost $15 trillion. They had almost nothing last year, and the year before, they've very, very little. Nobody wanted to be back here. Nobody wanted to come to our country anymore. because we were like stupid people. We looked like stupid people. We were laughed at all over the world. Now we're not laughed at anymore, I can tell you that. But they wanted to shatter our domestic supply chains and literally grind civilization to a halt. We would have gone so far back. It's hard to believe, actually. Hard to believe when you don't have enough electricity to give a person a little air conditioning in the summer, and now they want you to take electricity and fire up all these cars. But we're not going to let that happen. Meanwhile, all of the auto jobs would be shipped to China because they're very strong electric, and it lives off an estimated 200,000 American auto workers would be destroyed. It's one of the reasons I did so well with the United Auto Workers. And now I'm really doing well with them. I did phenomenally with them. No Republican ever got any numbers like I got. And the Teamsters, too. Sean O'Brien, the head of the Teamsters. These guys, they like Trump because I produce jobs. They know that. Everybody knew that the auto workers breakers. I don't know him at all. But he didn't like me at all. Now he's going around saying, this guy's unbelievable. He was very nice to me the last few months. During the campaign, no. But if I've proven, I've proven it. I've done what I said I was going to do, and we've brought back tremendous numbers of jobs. And you're having auto plants built all over the country, all over. There's never seen anything like that. They're leaving from Mexico. They're leaving from Canada. They're leaving from other parts of the world. If they want a Mercedes-Benz, you're going to have it made here. It's okay to have a Mercedes, but they're going to make it here. Otherwise, they're going to pay a very big tariff. They already are. That's one of the reasons we have $88 billion. It's a lot of money. But that's peanuts compared to what we're going to be making in another few months. They haven't even kicked in yet. But we're not going to let any of these bad things happen. These stupid projections that I've been reading about for the last 6 months. I think these people are either corrupt or really dumb. And they're supposed to be economists. In the campaign, I promised to end this disaster, and today our Republican majorities in Congress have delivered. And I don't know, I can't imagine. It's so obvious. It's so good. Did we get any Democrat votes? Did we get one? Two? Who? 35. Yes, sir. I think that's great. I think that's great. You got 35 Democrats. 35, yes, sir. I think that's great. That, as far as I'm concerned, one in the Senate. On something that's so good. But who is the one? Michigan. Well, I shouldn't have asked. I congratulate her. I don't care. I think it's great. It's very interesting. Why did I ask that question, Mr. Smith? But in a few moments, I'll sign 3 pieces of legislation that will totally kill. They can't do anything about it. They can't take us to court. They can't do any of the things they can do with the executive orders. And it's permanent. I'll sign 3 pieces of legislation that will kill the California mandates forever, and they're never coming back. Now, the auto companies are the most happy because now they're going to be designing and building. It will be much cheaper. It's a much less expensive. They were showing me, one of the most respected people was showing me that to save a little, like a half a glass of fuel, cost them thousands of dollars with new computers and stop it. The engine has to stop and then turn on and blah, blah, blah. And I said, does it work as well? No, it's terrible. It's terrible. And that's to save a little bit of fuel, this much fuel that Chris Wright can produce with one little oil well someplace, right? A small one, a very small one. But think of it. Your cars are going to cost you $3,000, $4,000 less, and you're going to have what you want. And again, you can get any car you want. You can get electric. A lot of people love the electric. They like Tesla. So do I, in all fairness. I like Tesla. And I like others too. But I also like combustion engines. And there are reasons for a lot of things. Well, we had an unbelievable victory, if you remember. Remember? That was nice. You won by so much. Nobody even talked about anything else, but that was a great victory. But it was unbelievably cold that night, and I was going to watch my victory in the area where I was going to make a speech, and the whole place was littered with cars. I said, what happened? They were electric cars, and they don't work in cold. I said, I didn't know that. And they don't work in extreme heat either. Other than that, they're wonderful. But no, but if you're in a cold climate, you know, how do you do that? But they're electric cars, and I noticed that, and then I didn't pay much attention because we won by about 65 points. So I was more interested in that. But I do remember that scene. I said, what the hell is going on over here? This historic action will also help us reduce inflation and bring down the price of automobiles and electricity very, very substantially. You know, we're building massive electricity. Guy right there, Lee Zone, by far the most important man in the room, Mr. Speaker. Stand up, Lee. He blows you guys away, John. He blows the politicians away. I'm sorry right now. He's a great politician. He almost won for governor in New York, which is just missed by a few points. And that was another race that was not winnable, but you almost got it. But I think what you're doing now is even bigger if you want to know the truth. I think it's actually more important if you can believe that. Under the previous regime, car prices skyrocketed as a direct result of the mandates. These mandates, this nonsense that you had to do, and they had so many other rules and regulations that the car companies who are here today appreciate that. And Susie Wiles is here today. Stand up, Susie. Most incredible woman. Most powerful woman in the world. She's the most powerful. She was rated the most powerful woman in the world. Susie Wiles. One phone call and a nation is destroyed. She could destroy 5 nations with 5 calls. And she's doing a great job. More importantly, right? Doing a great job. There's nobody like. Energy prices would likewise soar as the radical left forced more electric vehicles onto the grid while blocking approvals for new power plants. They want to block the approvals. They want you to have a car with electric, but they block the production of the juice that runs the cars, and all of them, all forms of cars. It's just the craziest thing. We're in a different sphere now. We're in a whole different planet right now. The result would be rolling blackouts and a collapse of our power systems. We'd have a total collapse. You couldn't do it. You couldn't even do it. Think of it, they're forcing you to do something, and they want you to do boats also. I assume boats are being covered by this, and boats, they want you to go all electric, and the batteries are so heavy, the damn boat practically doesn't float. I used to have a lot of fun talking about that one on the tours. We'd talk about it. And I said, what would happen if the boat sank? Because we went to North Carolina, South Carolina. We visited boat factories. Unbelievable guys. And they said, sir, we have one problem. They're forcing us to go electric for the boat. I said, how's it going to work? The boat will not float, sir. It's so heavy. And it won't go fast, and lots of other. And I did ask him a question, because I have a lot of background. My uncle was a big shot at MIT, the smartest guy. He never had a smarter guy. And I guess I have a little of that. My first question was, what would happen if the boat sank? Do you get electrocuted? Remember I said that? And I used to be decimated by these people back here, right? I used to be decimated. They'd say, what kind of a crazy question is that? So I'm actually serious. What happens if you're an electric boat and the boat is going down? You're in trouble, Susie. And I used to say, remember, I'd get decimated. The audience loved it, but the press would laugh at it. I said, so if I have my choice of going down or jumping 5 or 6 yards away from the boat, but there's a shark there, what do I do? You know what I said? I'd rather be electrocuted. I said, I'll take electrocution every single day. But actually, he said, nobody's ever asked me that question, sir. He makes boats. Nobody ever asked me that question. This is really an unusual question. He said, and honestly, I don't have the answer. He wasn't able to. I said, don't worry about it. If I win, you won't have to worry about it. But today we're saving California, and we're saving our entire country from a disaster. Your cars are going to be thousands of dollars less money. And even the ones that could do certain things that are just a waste of money and just time-consuming waste of money, they make you do things that are no good for anybody, make the car worse, and make it much more expensive. Over the past 5 months, our administration and Republicans in Congress have fought for the American auto worker and for Teamsters and for, by the way, right to work. We have them all. We have, we just call them just workers. We fought for workers like no one has ever fought before. I understand that. It's why we won. We won with workers. We won with young people. I just saw with TikTok, I was #1 on TikTok in its history. Can you believe that? So I guess I like TikTok. That's why they're saying, are you saving? And we probably will save TikTok, actually. But on my first day in office, I ended the Green New Scam and abolished the EV mandate at the federal level. We abolished it, which is basically that everybody will be driving electric in a very short period of time. Now I know why Elon doesn't like me so much, which he does, actually. He does. And he never had a problem. It's very interesting. This is not something new. This has been there from day one, Speaker, right? We're going to abolish the EV mandate. And Elon still endorsed me because, honestly, he never, ever spoke to me about that. And I used to say, I'm amazed that he's endorsing me because that can't be good for him. I'm abolishing the EV mandate. And I once asked him about it. You never talked to me about that. He said, well, as long as it's happening to everybody, I'll be able to compete. It was a very interesting answer. I thought it was a very honest answer, to be honest with you. And I talked about it, that incredible, you would have thought he would have been from day one. You got to make sure you don't do the EV mandate, the abolishing, and never did. Very honest in that sense. And he did say to me, I actually asked him because it was like really strange how I'm with him. He's very, friend of mine, and he makes electric cars, and we're saying you're not going to be able to make electric cars, or you're not going to be forced to make all of those cars. You can make them, but it'll be by the market, judged by the market. And that's what he said. He said, as long as I'm on the same plane as everybody else, we're going to do good. We make a better product. I said, that's very cool. It's very cool. That was my answer. After that, he got a little bit strange, but I don't know why, over much smaller things than that. As part of the One Big Beautiful Bill, we'll also further slash the funding for the Green New Scam. As you know, it's the greatest scam in history, saving American taxpayers hundreds of billions of dollars. The windmills are killing our country, by the way. The fields are littered with them, junk. They're littered with them. And they get older, and they get rusty, and they get bad, and they get... This is other countries also. It's the greatest scam in history. It's the most expensive energy you can buy. They're ugly. A friend of mine comes from Minnesota. He's been in New York. He hit it big. He's a very successful guy, actually. And he wanted to go back, see his mother who's not well. And he went back to Minnesota. Hasn't been back there in 20 years. And he said, it's unbelievable what happened. He said, I'm driving down a highway and up a certain road, and the most beautiful fields. I remember him so well, and I was so looking forward to seeing him again, and I looked at mills all over him. These horrible, horrible structures. He's a very smart guy, this guy. He said these ugly, horrible things, and he said it was so bad I actually drove back to see it because I couldn't believe it. Before I even got to my mother, I drove back. I said, how much do you like your mother? But no, it hurt him to see it. He said, I looked at this field that was one of the most beautiful places in my own mind and imagination that I've ever seen. And I said, it's littered with this garbage. It looked like a junkyard, he said. And then you get different manufacturers, and they don't look alike. And they're not painted alike, different colors. You have, even if they're white, one's a beigey white, one's a darker white, one's a lighter white. And then they start to rust after 4 or 5 years. And then they start to wear out. And nobody takes the propellers, the props, right? Can't bury the props for some reason. I don't know why, but they say that you can't bury a certain type of fiber, and if it goes in the ground, we're all going to die. It's what bullshit this is, okay? They can't bury... So what they do is they leave them up. If you go to Palm Springs, California, take a look. You go into this beautiful community. Before you go, it's like you're riding through a junkyard. The windmills all over the place. Tall ones, short ones, dead ones. They're all dead. Some are hanging over by a thread. They never take them down. They just leave them there, and they start to rust. It's one of the greatest scams, and it's also the most expensive energy. And the environmentalists say, oh, we love wind. It sounds so good, but it's a horrible thing. Environmentally, it's a horrible thing. I say that to you. It's wind, and we are going to have virtually no, one mandate we have, we're going to natural gas, nuclear. Nuclear, we just had a big signing with nuclear, making it easier, safer, and better. It's really, I would say probably more than any other form of energy that's come about. It's been amazing what's been done. It's very safe, very good, and very inexpensive. But we're not going to let windmills get built because we're not going to destroy our country any further than it's already been destroyed. You go and look at these beautiful plains and valleys, and they're loaded up with this garbage that gets worse and worse looking with time. It starts when the rust comes. 4.5 years it starts to rust. And it's very expensive to paint them. So they don't paint them, and they're horrible. What's happened is horrible. So we're not going to approve windmills unless something happens that's an emergency. I guess it could happen, but we're not doing any of them. I hope the Senate will soon pass a bill the House can quickly approve and get to my desk by the 4th of July. We'll have this done. And to further defend our auto workers, I imposed a 25% tariff on all foreign automobiles. Investment in American auto manufacturing is surging because of it. They have Mercedes all over. They pay 25% if they don't make the car in the United States. And because of that, and this could have been done long before Trump, this could have been done by any one of the presidents. I did it with China. The reason you don't have Chinese cars here is because I imposed it my last term. I actually asked the question, I said, do we have any Chinese cars here? No. Why? Because you imposed a 25 or 27.5% tariff on Chinese cars. So they're not coming here, but they are going to Europe all over the place. But I love China. We just made a deal, and I respect President Xi a lot. And we made a deal that's good for both countries. The deal we made with China, good for both countries. Going to be a lot of money made, and it's going to ultimately open up China, which is the thing. And I'm going to be working with President Xi. We had a long talk about it. And that's going to be good for China. It's going to be good for us. But we're going to be opening up China. That's bigger than what we signed. And I think, had we not signed it, that wouldn't be happening. It's going to happen. It's going to happen fairly soon. But to further defend our auto workers, I imposed this 25% tariff on all foreign automobiles and investment in American manufacturing and auto manufacturing. All manufacturing is surging. And I might go up with that tariff in the not-too-distant future. The higher you go, the more likely it is they build a plant here. Ford has just announced that it's going to invest $500 million in some of the things involved in what we just did. General Motors is going to spend $4 billion. They just announced that yesterday. Stellantis announced that it's going to reopen its Belvedere assembly plant. That's good. I know the plant very well. Had a lot of problems. $5 billion. And Hyundai announced that it will invest $21 billion in America. They wouldn't have invested 10 cents if we didn't have tariffs, including for manufacturing American steel, which is doing great. American steel is doing great now because of what we did. You wouldn't have, if I didn't put tariffs on steel, they were dumping steel. China and a lot of other countries were dumping steel in our country. Garbage steel, dirty steel, bad steel, not structurally sound steel, real garbage, but it was still there, lots of it. And if I didn't put tariffs, I put 25 and 50% tariffs on steel, right? John James would put tariffs on steel, and we were doing great with steel. Now we're really doing great. A big investment's being made in Pennsylvania. You've been reading about it. They're going to spend $17 billion on U.S. steel. And all the steel workers wanted it. And we have a golden stock. We have a golden share, which I control, the president controls. Now, I'm a little concerned whoever the president might be, but that gives you total control. It's 51% ownership by Americans. And we have a company, a great company, Nippon. They're coming in from Japan. They're going to spend $17 billion. And somebody said, well, what happens if it doesn't work out? I said, they spent $17 billion. We can't put it on a trailer and drive it to Japan. This is a steel mill. You know, some businesses you can move. You move your office, and that's where the business is. with this business. They're spending 17, think of that, 17 billion. They're going to have them all over the country. I want to introduce several of the great Americans representing the millions of people whose livelihoods we're saving with today's action. I just can't tell you how incredible this action is, because nobody thought, this was one that I wasn't so, I would have rather had it than almost anything, but I was told by everybody, except that guy right there, that you couldn't get it. Bill Kent runs a chain of family-owned convenience stores that opened in West Texas in 1957, known as Kent Quick. And Bill, if you could come up and say a few words about what the signing means to you, please.
Wow, you're probably wondering why I've called you all here today, right? What a great day. From my perspective, I'm in the convenience store and petroleum marketing business, and what this does is it gives us freedom. It gives the consumers freedom to pick what kind of car they want, but more importantly for us, it gives us the ability to plan going forward, because with mandates, we were forced to have to look at putting in infrastructure that frankly is extremely expensive and doesn't give you any return. So this allows us, it's going to free me up and our companies up to invest in what people want, in the cars they want, and it's a great day. So, Mr. President, Congress, thank you, Steve, everybody, thank you so much. Thank you.
And a friend of mine for a long time is John Hess. He's one of the top CEOs in the country, and he's now the CEO of Hess Corporation, one of the biggest oil producers, and he's a fantastic person with great knowledge of the subject matter. Can you say a few words, John? I see you in the audience. Come on, thanks.
Hi, I'm John Hess, and CEO of Hess Corporation, a proud producer of oil and gas in North Dakota and the Gulf of America. And so you all know, I was born in New Jersey, grew up in New York, and my father started our company by driving a secondhand oil truck. So, Mr. President, it's an honor to be before you today, and thank you for that. Mr. President, during your campaign, you made a commitment to the American people to repeal unworkable and costly mandates for cars and trucks and let the consumer choose what type of vehicle they drive. Today, with the bipartisan support of Congress, you're making good on that promise. I'd like to recognize Speaker Johnson, Leader Thune, other members of Congress whose tireless efforts were critical to the outcome we're celebrating today. And a special thank you to Senator Capito for her leadership. This announcement today is about consumer choice and affordability for American families. It's also about making our country auto industry more competitive, Mr. President, and you said that very eloquently. As you know, Mr. President, one-size-fits-all policies like those adopted in California do not work. America, in every state, every American should be able to choose what they want to drive, not the government. We as a country would be basically leaning into our competitive advantage with this repeal on oil and gas. Oil and gas are a strategic industry for our country, underpinning energy dominance, economic prosperity, and national security. We are truly energy independent. So, Mr. President, on behalf of Hess Corporation, on behalf of the oil and gas industry, and every family across our country, thank you for your courageous leadership and your commitment to consumer choice and energy affordability. Thank you very much.
Very respected guy. The California EV mandates would also have devastated our nation's incredible truck drivers and the trucking industry, and I gave you a little bit of a rundown on that. But a diesel-powered semi-truck can drive from Reno, Nevada. I'll give you some other locations. Nevada to Los Angeles, California, and back on a single tank of diesel oil, diesel fuel, but the same exact journey would require an electric truck driver to stop also 6 times at recharging stations, adding an estimated 9 hours to the trip. I don't know too much about the trucking industry, but this is not sounding good. Here to discuss a little bit about the trucking industry, Gina Jones, and Gina, a real expert on trucks, I can tell you that. She's going to come up and tell us about trucks. Thank you, Gina. Thank you, Dad.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Much.
And thank you, members and Congress. The trucking industry has America's back, and we are grateful that a president and the administration that have our back, too. Today, trucks are 99% cleaner than a generation ago. We need great partners in government to continue that process. We cannot allow one state's regulations to disrupt our entire nation's supply chain. Allowing California to do so would have negativity impacted the hundreds and thousands of truck drivers who deliver critical goods across the country each and every day. In order to deliver for American families and businesses, we need realistic national standards. With the signing of this resolution, Mr. President, you have delivered the leadership that trucking industries need. Promises made, promises kept. On behalf of the 8.5 million Americans who work throughout the trucking industry, I thank you.
Great job. So just to wrap it up, I say under the Trump administration, we will restore the full strength, might, and glory of the American auto and trucking industry. We'll protect drivers, auto workers, small business people, and manufacturers all over our country, and actually all over the world, and that's okay too. They'll be doing a product that works, a product that's much more efficient, that's better, it's much better, less expensive, and we'll put affordable energy and affordable car ownership back on the center of the American dream as we make America great again, and that's what's happening. We're making America great. You know, when I went over to Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE, just a couple of weeks ago, the leaders of those countries, and they're very smart people, they said, you know, you've made in a short period of time America the hottest nation in the world. It's the hottest, you're the only one we talk about now. And 6 months ago, it was a laughingstock. They said that to me, those words. It was a laughingstock, and it was an absolute laughingstock. We've got the hottest nation right now in the whole world, and the numbers are reflecting it too. So I just think it's great. And what I'll do is I'll sign this, then we can take a couple of questions if you want. And we will be finished, and you're going to go off, and you're going to build the most beautiful automobiles for 20% less money. And I want to thank you, man. You have done some job. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, everybody. You guys want to come up here? Surround it? Come on, surround it. Okay, we're going to sign 3 bills that do everything I just said. No auto pens allowed. To you. Keep that mic. You know, that pen was so good, give it back to me.
I'm taking it.
That was a good one. No, I'll
That's a great
sign
one.
all three of them, because you never know what you get with the new one. Number 2. Very steady hand. It's very important. Very steady. Only a steady hand can sign like that, right?
Absolutely.
Right? I've been told that, actually. And here's number 3, and it all goes into effect. Everything I said goes into effect. Lower prices, better cars, and choice. We have choice for education, and you have choice for cars now, right? Common sense is right. You're right. Common sense is right. Okay, now I can give you a pen.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, you'll take those. Where's John James? Yeah. You have one, John?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. President.
Pass them around. Okay, everybody, there's a few extra, you're gonna take them and give them to some of the people. Okay?